Yeah, I think it's been a while since we talked to Bob Holt here in Fayetteville because he's been everywhere that the basketball team has been. Men's basketball, of course, he's been in Tampa for the SEC tournament. He was in Buffalo for rounds of 64 and 32. He was in San Francisco for the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight, and would have been in New Orleans if Arkansas had defeated Duke. So, Bob, that's a lot of miles after basically covering from home for the previous 2 years. So many things are back to what feels like normal, but I don't know if that travel that you just did is normal for anybody.
Yeah, I'd taken a few driving trips, to Kansas City and Tulsa and North Little Rock, but hadn't flown in 2 years. Then all of a sudden I was flying, to Tampa and Buffalo and San Francisco, and it was definitely good to be back in person and be seated on the floor, and you really felt like you were right near the action. It was good to have in person the press conferences. We didn't get to go to the locker rooms, which, I understand. They're still trying to be careful, and hopefully that's something that can return next year. But they did do the breakout interviews the day before the Duke game where, you had Eric and players at the press conference, and then you also could get players in breakouts. So, all in all, I'd say it was a pretty good setup by the NCAA. That they really do a great job around that tournament. And whatever happens in the future, I sure hope the people that run the tournament keep running it because they do. I think for the most part they do a really good job. But, I'm not sure I've ever traveled like that. I remember back in the mid-'90s when Arkansas would go to Final Fours, in 94 you drove to Oklahoma City, you drove to Dallas, then you flew to Charlotte, then I remember they played in Austin. So, that's about as much travel in a condensed window I can remember, and I'm not getting any younger either.
Well, and no rest for the weary as far as that's concerned because things with Arkansas basketball just continue to be, there's news almost every day now. You have Chance Moore transferring out. You've got Trevon Brazile transferring in. And, every college basketball program is going to have interesting off seasons now with the transfer portal and just the way that rosters are constructed. But for Arkansas, maybe a little bit more interesting than most, certainly this year. And with Brazile coming in right now, there are 15 scholarship players when you count the 6 freshmen that are coming in next year, and there's only 13 scholarships. So, we got to wait with bated breath on the decisions by J.D. Note and Jaylin Williams and Audi's Tony as to whether or not they're going to come back. Is there any, in your mind, do you have a sense of which way either one of them could lean, or what do you think?
Well, I think in this day and age where you can, put your name to the draft, possibly get invited to the combine and still withdraw your name, I don't know why a player wouldn't take advantage of that situation. Can you imagine if these football players could go to the combine and if things didn't go well, they could withdraw their name, But in football, you don't have that luxury. Even in basketball, now I think only 60 guys get invited to the combine, and it's not voted on by the media or the coaches. It's who the NBA people want to see. It's who the scouts and the coaches and GMs want to see, and you're including foreign players. And then sometimes guys who would be in that top 60, if they're obvious, lottery picks, their agents don't want them to go because they worry they might get hurt or have a bad showing and hurt their status. It's kind of like candidates who are heading the polls don't want to do debates, because they feel like they can always screw up or something, I guess. But I think that, if you're Jaylin, JD, I don't know why, or Audi's for that matter, I don't know why you wouldn't enter your name, get some feedback. They're going to get feedback, from Eric anyway and his NBA contacts. But to me, if you go to the combine and just, experience that, even if you're pretty sure you're coming back to college, how big an advantage is that next year if you think you're going to be, going in the draft? To have already been to the combine and kind of know your way around and gone through interviews. So I don't know why any players, Arkansas or guys at other places wouldn't do that. So I would expect those guys to all enter the draft and then, keep their options open, not sign with an agent and all that kind of stuff. But just for the experience, even if you're pretty sure you're coming back, I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that.
No, I'm with you, Bob. I think that it's a great opportunity for them. Like you said, even if they know they're coming back, it at least gives them a trial run before, everything is on the line. Kind of learn what to do in the interviews, learn how to properly do everything in the combine so that you don't mess up, that you don't hurt your chances to get drafted. It's basically a free trial run. So I think it's great. But outside of those 3 guys that, have the potential of entering the draft and, either getting drafted or coming back before the deadline to pull your name out. There's going to be more guys exiting this team. Which of kind of like the three or four, between Jackson Robinson, KK Robinson, and Connor Vanover, would you be most shocked to see stay?
Well, honestly, I'd be surprised to see any of them stay, but just based on playing time, I think they're all good guys, and, I'm sure they've improved and everything. But when you're not playing, especially in this day and age with the portal, if you're not playing, I don't know why you wouldn't make a move. But I guess out of those three, I'd probably be shocked. The guy, I'd be most shocked if KK Robinson was back. But honestly, those three guys and lost Chance Moore, I mean, just watching how the season played out, you figured all four of those guys are probably going to go into the portal. I'm not saying they should. I mean, if they're happy here, and if Eric says, hey, I can't promise you any playing time, but you're a great practice player, and we appreciate, what you contribute to the program. But with the players they got coming in, I mean, Arkansas honestly ought to be better next year than they were this year, And then you're talking about a bunch of freshmen coming in. Now, some of those guys are going to be one-and-dones. I don't necessarily think, you can assume everybody's always a one-and-done guy. And then, a player like Moses Moody, you think, well, wow, he's really good, but he's probably going to play here at least a couple of years, and then he's a one-and-done guy. You can't really project all that. But, yeah, there's definitely going to be player movement going out of the program, and I think all you have to do is look at the numbers, look at the guys that didn't hardly play. I mean, Connor played, a fair amount last year, and he played some early, but really the last part of the season he barely played at all. So, I'm sorry it didn't work out better for him. I think it's funny. I think he would have played his very first year, his redshirt year. I think he might have played more then than he ever has because they were so small, but it didn't work out that way for him, unfortunately. But I think those are all good guys and all good players, and they could definitely play somewhere. I just don't see them how they're going to play here with the players they have coming in.
Mm-hmm. And, Bob, do you think that, obviously the big pickup yesterday with Trayvon Brazile, 6'9" guy, has the shot blocking ability, can play down low. Is he the answer for Arkansas in their kind of down low issues that we saw cause them a little woes this season, kind of putting everything on Jaylin Williams to be the guy to have that down low presence? Or do you think that Musselman's not done and he's going to go get another, 6'10" plus guy, the big bodied that can impose their will on him?
Oh, I'm not sure Eric's ever done with recruiting his crew. Yeah, I know they got, whose name escapes me, I guess the big kid from Utah Valley State, I think it is, who's got really great numbers, and he seems to be a guy everybody's interested in. But, yeah, I think Brazil's a great pickup. I mean, if you just read off his stats from his freshman year, they don't jump off at the page at you. But I watched him play those last two games in Tampa against, I guess it was Ole Miss and LSU, and he was really impressive. He's a kid who missed the first 6 or 7 games with some kind of undisclosed leg injury or something. And then, so he got off to a bit of a slow start, but he was really coming on. I mean, I think he had 15 and 10 or something against LSU. He's got great length. You can look at his frame, see he's got a lot of room to add weight. He just seems real elastic or something, if you want to call it that, the way he can protect the rim. And I just think he's got a huge upside. I mean, to me, that's a great pickup for Arkansas. Also, anytime you get somebody who's played in the SEC, so he understands the speed of the game at this level, he understands the intensity, he's played in the arenas, he's gone against the other players. I think if you can pick up a guy from another SEC team, that's really a plus. So to pick up a kid who went to Missouri and was playing really well and has a lot of athleticism, and you see how guys improve. And I think that's why kids want to come here, or a big reason why they do, is they see how they develop. I mean, you see how Moses Moody came in as a highly touted high school guy, but he wasn't a top 15 guy, and then he goes 14 in the draft. You see how much Jaylin Williams improved, You see how much Devo improved. You see how a guy like Justin Smith, who was doing okay at Indiana, comes in here and just goes crazy, And so I think Brazil's a great pickup, but yeah, I expect they'd love to get another big guy too.
I know you, Bob, you were on a Zoom press conference or at the press conference with Dave Van Horn today, previewing the Mississippi State baseball series. I saw a couple of things on Twitter about it, and I guess the thing that stands out is Jace Borfin transferred from Oklahoma last year and has been out for the last 2.5 weeks with a shoulder injury. Will be on the roster. Did Dave say anything about maybe getting him in the lineup? I mean, on the roster and the lineup are two different things.
Yeah, he wasn't real specific, but I assume if you put a kid on a roster, that means you're hopeful he can play. Obviously, you don't want to push it, and this weather's pretty crazy. I hope it gets always better for the weekend. I haven't really seen the forecast, or maybe they need a retractable roof at Baum Walker Stadium. Yeah, he said he'd be on the roster. Actually, the first part of the Zoom was a little hard to understand. I was on the Zoom part, but yeah, I don't believe he said he would, like he had a specific role for him. One thing, they do have pretty good outfield depth, so they have some options there, obviously.
Isn't it amazing how starting pitching is now the dominant portion of this team? And really with Brady Tygart, I think, closing games, pitching is the strength of this team, pitching and fielding. And I think it was hitting and fielding last year in Kevin Kopps. This right now, I mean, this is probably the best overall Arkansas pitching staff since the 2019 College World Series team, at least now. I mean, you got another 2 months.
Well, yeah, I think they're definitely deeper in pitching last year. I mean, it's great to have Kevin Kopps. He's almost having like 3 guys or something with the way he could throw and come and start and have long relief, close. He was such a dynamic pitcher. And so I think he's doing pretty well in spring training from what I can tell, a little bit I've seen. But, yeah, I just think they're deeper, and especially with losing, Peyton Paulette at the start of the year, you think, wow, there's the number one guy, first-round draft pick, but not that they couldn't use him or would love to have him, but it's impressive to me that what they put together because, they still have a very strong staff, even with the expected number one guy, being out for the year.
We're finally here. The top teams in college basketball have been determined, and the Final Four is set. Looking to wager on these games or the national championship? Head over to betonline.ag on your desktop or your mobile device and sign up today to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BLEAV to get started. That's BLEAV. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all your updated odds and info, along with player props and new contests throughout the year. It's the best source for all your sporting wagering needs, including live betting and everyone's favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's super easy to get started, so join today. Learn why everyone is saying BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.